if it's ramping up in terms of its success, and let's say that that's exponential, because perhaps it might be, why won't Bitcoin just suck the investment capital out of everything?
It is, and it will.
Okay.
That's why I'm here.
Okay, so what's the consequences of that?
A very interesting conversation between Michael Saylor and Jordan Peterson. We'll get to this before the video's out, so make sure you watch this one to the end. Before we get started, if you guys haven't did so, go ahead and follow us on X. We're starting to do interviews with some of these Bitcoin treasury companies, other players in the space, other thought leaders in the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency space to get their perspective on where this market's going. So make sure you give us a follow there. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, make sure you subscribe and smash that like button. We appreciate all your support. Starting off right here, CNBC predicts Bitcoin will surpass $130,000. That could be right around the corner. And right here, you see the M2 money supply is going up, blowing up towards $140,000. If you lay this over the Bitcoin price chart and try to make it one-to-one as possible, you see 130 gets clipped and also 140. At the current time of this recording, we're seeing Bitcoin come in around the 108.8K range. What do we see? What do we anticipate? So right now, Bitcoin is just holding around this level, 109K. So what do we need to see next? We need to see a weekly candle body close above 109. The higher, the better. As you see, these previous candles, this one here got up to 109, didn't make it, then it got retracted back down. Right now, we're sitting right at that level. Will we see Bitcoin go parabolic to the upside? But we'll take a look at MicroStrategy. What are people anticipating for what's to come for MicroStrategy? And let's just refresh this really quick. At the current time of this recording, we're seeing MicroStrategy come in at 385, and it looks like we could be getting ready to gear up towards the upside here. As you see here, we did come up and put this double peak. There's a bearish divergence. Right now, will we get a continuation? That's what people need to wait and see. It looks like the RSI is trying to roll up, and the Fisher indicator is also trying to flip the blue from beneath the red to get back on top of it to get a continuation to the upside. If we zoom in here, we see that this could be some type of bull flag pattern that is forming. And right now, we are just breaking out from this previous low. Let's pull this up to where this potentially could be going. The next level to pay attention to for MicroStrategy is up here to around the $700 range. Could that be what's in the cards? That's almost a double from where we are right now. And right here, a fun fact: if Bitcoin closes Q2 above 119,000, Strategy will post the largest quarterly earnings in human history. Yes, in human history, in capital market history. Bigger than Apple, bigger than Nvidia, all because of Bitcoin. Do you see what's coming? So without further ado, let's finish hearing from Michael Saylor. We encourage you to check out this entire interview. It's definitely insightful. Let's hear from Michael.
When we come to this idea of the ideology of Bitcoin, Bitcoin's based upon engineering principles, scientific, mathematical soundness, consistency, integrity, truth, right? And those are all the principles.
And that's the incorruptibility of the ledger.
Those are the principles of libertarians and Austrian economists, right?
Yeah.
And those are also, that is someone that believes that we should be governed by natural law. Right? So we go back to John Locke, and we go back to natural rights and natural law, right? Nature governs, right? Whether nature gives you gravity. If you tip the glass there, it's falling to the floor. You don't get to break the rule. That is just the rule. You have to comport yourself accordingly, knowing that there's a gravitational field in this room right now. You can't wish it away, right? A lawyer would like to wish it. You'd like to, if the politicians could pass a law, they'd pass a law suspending gravity rights, for the time being in certain places. But you can't, as Elon Musk says, you don't get to break the laws of physics. Right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So Bitcoin starts with this ideology of the engineers, the scientists, the mathematicians, right? And we create a protocol. The protocol is, what if a bunch of smart people in the world, what if they wanted to keep their money? What if, or in this case, I gave you the example of the divine bank that God gave you, except if God's not going to set up divine bank and solve all your monetary problem, what's the second best idea? The second best idea would be a smart engineer takes advantage of semiconductors, the internet, and cryptography, and you create a system where 21 million Bitcoins circulate, subdividable by 100 million Satoshis each. That system is protected by public and private key cryptography. And should you actually have possession of the private key, you have control over your coins. That means that you've created a bank in cyberspace. Now imagine 100 rich families. They live all over the world. They all get together one day and they say, well, you know, God won't solve our problems for us, so we got to solve our problems ourselves. Let's go ahead and build out this Bitcoin network. And this is a bank, and we're all going to be able to deposit our money in this bank. Why? We don't trust the government. We don't trust a local bank. We don't trust each other. We don't, you know, and we want the bank to last for 1,000 years. Okay, who's going to run the software? Well, the answer is everybody's going to run the software, because nobody's, I trust you, you trust me, but your idiot great-grandson I might not trust. Or maybe my idiot great-grandson might not get along with your idiot great-grandson. So, you know, and this is where history of science comes in. You know how we studied longitude? Or longitude was the breakthrough that gave the British control of the seas. And the Longitude Prize was instantiated by the Parliament. They offered 10,000 pounds to whoever could figure out how to calculate longitude on the ocean. Every physics professor at Cambridge and Oxford tried it. They all failed. Every mathematician failed. They could not figure it out. A clockmaker by the name of John Harrison makes clocks. He solved the problem. Just like the Wright brothers figured out how to fly without the aeronautical engineering degree, the bicycle makers figured out how to fly. The clockmaker figured out how to solve the problem. He created a perfect clock. He gave you 2 clocks. And when you get in a British ship, you sail past Greenwich, which is where the Royal Observatory is. You set your first clock to Royal Observatory time, Greenwich Mean Time. That's where we got universal time. The second clock is set to local time. The ship sails to the West Indies. You look up, you figure out what high noon is. You compare the second clock to the first clock. You subtract 2 hours. You multiply by 15 degrees. You got your longitude on the ocean. Now, what's the breakthrough? No one could make a perfect clock. How do I create a perfect clock? Because the metal in the clock expands and contracts. John Harrison created a perfect machine from imperfect materials. What he realized is, yes, the metal does expand and contract. We can't stop it from expanding and contracting with humidity and with temperature. What we can do is take 2 identical pieces of metal and put them in tension with each other. So this one is contracting the same amount that one is contracting. They actually compensate, neutralize each other, and you end up with a perfect machine. That is brilliant engineering, not through math, not through science, but through practical engineering. Harrison creates a perfect clock. The clock inadvertently gives us longitude. Longitude gives the British Navy command of the seas, and we're speaking English right now.
Right. Got it.
Satoshi has to create a perfect monetary network, and you got to create it with imperfect components. The imperfect components are the people, the governments, the actors, the computers. They're going to fail. What happens if the power goes out? What happens if that gets hacked? The answer is, I create a machine that's running the protocol. This one's running the protocol. This one's running the protocol. they're all running at the same time. They're all hashing in order to guess the answer that's required to build the next block. 1 out of 1,000,000 of these things will win. The entire thing is a fault-tolerant, shared nothing, mission-critical, nuclear-hardened system, because what is it? It's a virus, right? It's an internet virus, a monetary virus, an ideological virus, and everyone that chooses to run the node is feeding the network, participating in the network. All of the miners are defending the network. People will, but once you understand it like that, then you realize that what's going on with Bitcoin is a bunch of people with the same ideology. We just all like to keep our money.